Whoa, stop scrolling. Stop, stop, stop. I got something to tell you. What if I told you that some of the most complimented fragrances in the whole world don't come with an each price tag? Does that sound interesting to you? They come from Zara. Yeah, that's right. The same store you walk by in the mall and don't give it a second thought. Today we're diving into Zara fragrances that are really shocking collectors. They're turning heads and all over the place in bars and boardrooms, and they're just quietly, outperforming these bottles with 3 times the price tag. Are they clones? Or maybe they're hidden gems. Maybe they've got their own DNA. Or maybe they're just one of the smartest fragrance moves you can make these days. Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Miles, and this is Aromas by Miles. So today we've got this magnificent 7 for you, and we're going to be taking a look at these really affordable fragrances from the house of Zara. It's time, but right now it's time to pay up. Hit the like and subscribe button. I need for you to bang those buttons because it helps the Medic Outpost nonprofit, which helps people around the world. And I only need 950 more subscribers to be able to give them the support that I want to. Okay, enough of that. Let's ride. Let's get into this Zara extravaganza. You knew it was coming. Bum 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 bum. That's right. All right, the first one I've got for you is a really good fragrance from the house. It's Oud Vibrant Leather. I paid $45 for this one and a little bit of change at the store. And, it was a pleasant experience. I love going into the Zara store. They've got some cool, reasonably plush clothes too. But you get to see all the fragrances all lined out, and you get to test them. And, I have to say it's really nice to be able to try fragrances without one of those fragrance counter vultures in your face, jamming scent strips at you right and left, and trying to make you try stuff that you haven't asked for or don't even want. But it's an excellent fragrance. If I had only a minute to smell a leather fragrance with some attitude and on a budget, this is probably the first one I'd reach for. It's got that leather jacket smell at night. It's smooth. It's modern. Again, it's a $45 fragrance, so it's got some leather woods in it, some dry amber, a little bit of smoky oud, but the oud's not too strong. It doesn't push out too far. I'm not even sure if I would put oud in the name. Clean spice. Yeah, it's a little edgy. You could compare it to a million leather fragrances, a million oud fragrances, and a million of those fragrances are doing the hokey pokey in bed together. So it's not something that's going to break the fragrance world, but it's polished, and it's got a little bit of oud, and I think the oud just kind of brings the leather down a little bit, makes it a little bit lighter. You could compare it to some of the Creed fragrances out there too. Again, obviously the difference between Creed fragrances and Tom Ford fragrances as far as ingredients and that sort of stuff go, yeah, it's a solid fragrance. I mean, it's one that I wouldn't be ashamed to wear. It's just a little bit darker kind of leather tone to it. This is 100 ml bottle. It's got decent longevity. I mean, 5, maybe 7 hours or so. It's got moderate projection, at least early, and then it kind of goes away. You'd have to reapply it, but 45 bucks. It's office safe, so it's one of those leather fragrances I think you could wear in the cooler weather where you're not going to offend anybody or nobody's going to start choking out on the floor. It's one that I think you should take a look at. And again, go to the Zara store and sample all these that I'm getting ready to tell you about and see which ones you like, and let me know in the comments. All right, number 2 on the list is kind of in that same family, but this one's Vibrant Leather Extreme. And when I say Vibrant Leather Extreme, I mean, I don't think there's any oud in it. This one tapped me for 47 bucks at the store. And this one's a little more, turns up the volume a little bit. It's got a brighter citrus opening, and then it's got that deep leather base. So there's a little more intensity to it, hence the extreme. But it's that citrus lift. It's got some suede. It's a little more suede-y leather with woody amber and some dark woods to it, I think. You could Sauvage Elixir, but maybe a more amplified kind of style. Certainly Sauvage Elixir has better ingredients, but you know, it's kind of in that family. And then Mont Blanc Explorer, I think it's a good alternative to that for a much cheaper price. It's kind of that modern adventure vibe, but this one's got a little more leather to it. It's going to be a cooler weather scent. This is one of those where you can transition maybe from the spring to the summer and from the fall to the winter. Did I get that right? Yeah, it's 6 to 8 hours of longevity. It's pretty strong in the opening. You may have to reapply. I don't know if you're going to get 6 or 8, certainly 8 hours from it, but cooler weather, best at night. You know, it's the same sort of a thing. It's a leather fragrance, but it holds up pretty well. $47, you know, it's worth taking a look at. Certainly get your nose on some of these fragrances. And, you know, if you want to experiment a little bit with leather and figure out when to wear it and how to wear it and how much to wear, then this would be a good one to start. Again, love going to the Zara store at the mall without being hassled. So this is a good one. Take a look at it. Okay, the next one now is the big high roller one, and this is Leather Jardin. And this is actually the most expensive one of this Magnificent 7. This one cost me $64 at the store. Again, all of these are plus tax, but you know, imagine you got a little bit of leather in a greenhouse. It's fresh, airy. It's a little bit kind of cut grass for me on my skin. I mean, this is you know, I talked about the last one being a leather scent that you could wear during the day, and this is kind of a mix of leather and, you know, a bunch of soft florals, a little bit of subtle leather, you know, more subtle kind of leather, and then some musky woods in the base. But, you know, those green aromatics, this is one of those you could wear during the day as well. Let's get this on the strip here. And remember, when you're trying to open this thing, don't open the saucer here because you'll be ripping your head off. You got to pull the screwy little top here. Man, I'm leathered out. Yeah, this is a nice scent. It's got a little bit of a smoky something or the other to me. You know, I get a little bit of ashy smoke to it. I don't know. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But this, you could compare this one to kind of Maison Margiela's At the Barbershop. It's clean, a little bit refined. Bodega Veneta, if you guys know that one's maybe not the best one to describe it, but it's got that leather idea that's a little bit lighter. Unfortunately, it doesn't have much of a projection, and it's got a soft projection and 4 to 6 hours on the longevity. This is kind of, like I said, a spring leather and maybe a summer leather. Certainly a daytime wear. You could get away with it in the evening for sure, but you know, it's not going to hold up in the cold weather. But all in all, a pretty good scent. I like maybe some of the others more, but this has gotten some hype over the last couple of years, so one worth checking out, I think. That's Leather Jardin or Leather Garden. Another pretty good Zara exclusive fragrance. Tell me if you tried it. All right, the next one I've got for you, number 4 on the list, is Fashionably London. And again, I like the name. I mean, do you want to smell like a well-tailored suit without smelling like everyone else? Well, for $54, you can knock this baby down. It smells a lot more expensive than it is. I really, really like this one. This one's kind of smart, casual elegance. It's not exactly a Savile Row suit, but you know what I mean. It's got citrus in the opening, then it comes down to a little bit of soft spice and woody amber, and finishing up with a little bit of musk. The musk isn't too heavy, but it's enough, you know, that you can. It's a little bit sexy at the end, and it sort of calms down and rounds out a little bit. It's sort of like Prada L'Homme, polished, a little more sophisticated, and you could compare it to La Nuit de L'Homme by YSL, but obviously that fragrance is one of my favorites, so it's not gonna break the window on that one. But it's pretty bright, and you know, it's got 5 to 7 hours longevity. Again, the projection isn't much, but you know, it's really not meant to be. It's more of a closer to the skin, elegant kind of scent. I think it works for, you know, you could travel with it. I think you could certainly take it to work. Again, for, you know, $54, and you know, it's we're trying to make that comparison between this price point and what you're going to get for it. And I think this is a high value target in a lot of ways. And this is Fashionably London. Give it a look. Okay, gang, how about a little bit of a hit of a vanilla for you? This is Vanilla 02. And there's an 01 too, and they're both about $39 at the store. I paid 39 bucks for it. I mean, if you think that Vanilla 1 was a little subdued, and maybe that's why I left it off the list, but they're still both good choices for kind of a starter vanilla. I would check these out at the Zara store in a heartbeat. This is just, you know, it's got that warm skin vanilla. It's not going to blast everybody out. It's obviously gourmand, but it's not, you know, cupcake sweet. You know, like some of those vanillas out there that are just so sweet you can't stand it. And I guess that's maybe something that's popular these days, especially with the younger crowd. But this one's cozy. It's kind of smooth. Creamy vanilla, amber. It's got some soft woods. And then there's a little bit of that musk that comes in at the end. You know, musk and vanilla are, you know, Laurel and Hardy, if anybody remembers what that is. You know, they're just a great couple of fragrances that go together, ingredients that go together all the time. I mean, I guess you could call this Grand Soir, you know, maybe a little bit of that MFK Grand Soir, but Soir, not Swar. I'm from Texas, but it's, you know, a little richer and a little heavier than that. You know, Grand Soir is obviously a perfectly blended and perfect ingredient, so it's a little bit smoother and, again, rounded edges and very nice. But this one's not too bad. Watch your sprays, and I think you're going to be able to control the sweetness and the projection and longevity. But 4 to 7 hours, maybe something like that. Again, it doesn't have all the ingredients in it to make it any longer than that, but it's got a really soft sillage to it, so it does carry with you a little bit on your clothes. KLE's vanilla, what is it, 26, 28? I think it's 28. Kind of something like that. I don't think you'd be disappointed. And for 39 bucks, you know, you could certainly layer with it. I know a lot of people I've seen have talked about layering with it. You could wear it for dates and a little bit cooler weather. Has anyone ever, maybe I'm the only nerd in the world that does this, but has anyone ever worn 2 or 3 different fragrances at once? I'm not talking about layering, but putting it on like this one and this one on one side and this one back here and just kind of letting it waft and develop. I do that all the time, and I may be the only Looney Tune nerd out there in the world that does it, but I do, and I think this would be one of those that you could get away with. It's not going to overpower one side or the other. Okay, well, I'll tell you, make some notes next time I go to the therapist, but this is Vanilla 02, highly recommend it. All right, the next one I've got is one that really, really surprised me, and it's a really good scent, and it's For Him Red Edition. And I gotta say, when I first time I smelled this, I thought, what the fuck is that? What the hell is that? And I thought, well, I'm buying this, even though it's, you know, in a thimble full here. I paid 45 bucks for it, so I guess this is the most expensive fragrance on the list by milliliter. But I'm impressed at how blended this one is. I mean, it proves that if you don't have to have 200 bucks to get a decent scent. Like I say, this was 45 bucks. And this one doesn't whisper, it kind of walks in with some energy. It's fresh on top, and then it's got warm woods underneath, spicy, ambery, woody. You know, it's not reinventing the wheel, but you know, it finishes up with a little bit of clean musk. But it's a good solid scent, and it's got a little bit of something in it that I can't quite figure out that sets it apart from some of the more generic, mass appealing kind of fragrances out there. Maybe you could compare this a little bit to Bleu de Chanel, the EDP. It's just got that energy to it, that daily bang to it. Dior Sauvage maybe, but you know, it's not quite as fresh, I don't think, as Dior Sauvage. But it's got decent longevity, 5 to 7 hours. But of course, you got to get a bigger freaking bottle than this if you're going to reapply it. It's good for maybe everyday compliments. I think it's a warmer weather. Maybe you could fall, early spring, that sort of late spring. You know, when it's just starting to get hot, but it's still got a little bit of a little bit of freshness in the air. It's a great scent. I was totally surprised with this one, and that's For Him the Red Edition. I think there's another edition out there if I remember right, but this is the Red Edition. Take a look at this one. All right, we're going to finish up this Magnificent 7 with another pretty interesting scent. This one's got a little more hype to it than some of the others, and this is, I went to Sunrise on the Red Sand Dunes. I have no idea where they got the damn name, but there's another one, I can't think of what the name of it is off the top of my head, that's kind of along this long name thing. Paid 53 bones for this one, and like I say, this one's pretty hyped. It's kind of like warm desert air at sunset, they say, that sort of thing. I live in the desert, have a ranch out in the desert, and I have to say this is a pretty good scent. It's light, it's kind of golden, got a little bit of spice to it, a little bit of amber. You know, it's, again, no hard, sharp edges. It's got an amber glow, a little bit of sweet spice. And then it, you know, like some of these others, it kind of softens up and then finishes up with some musk, some pretty clean musk. It's not barnyardy or animalic. It's a soft, kind of an intimate, close to the skin kind of musk. Baby cat maybe, but baby cat's darker and a little more intense. And if you've ever tried Initio's, what is it? Side effect. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to put it in the notes, so don't worry about it. Side effect. But that's a little deeper, I think. But it's boozy, and this one's got a little bit of booze to it on my skin. I have no idea where that booze comes from, or even how to describe it. Well, it's a little bit of gin or something, I think. I don't know. Performance is pretty good, 5 to 8 hours. It's pretty good for a lighter kind of scent. But this one's got a little more structure to it, and I think it would be better maybe in the fall and evening, you know, or evening wear in general, when it's not super, you know, dying kind of hot like it is a lot of times down in Texas or up in Texas. But again, a great scent. I think you're going to be happy with this one, and I can't think of the other one's name, but they're kind of along the same lines, and this one's Sunset on the Red Sand Dunes. So if you don't have red sand dunes, then make up your own stuff. Anyway, that's number 7. All right, there you have it. That's the Magnificent 7 for Zara. They have a shit ton of fragrances in this house, and I encourage you to take a look at some of them. Some of them are pretty good, and some of them honestly suck. I may have to do another video about the rest. But you can sample these and still have a little bit of money left in your wallet, which is kind of nice. Thanks for tuning in, as always. You know, I value your time, you know that. I appreciate you tuning in, and please like and subscribe, because it helps a whole lot of people. None of that goes to me. None of that, if there's a benefit to it, none of it goes to me. Hit the bell so you'll know. I'm posting a lot of videos these days, trying to get some stuff out there to try and help you guys with your fragrance journey and tell you a little bit about what I'm learning, because I learn all the time. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to know everything about this, but that's for another day. Be safe, be happy. We'll see you in the next one.